I observed the email draft on his laptop, my hands shaking as I held the desk's edge. Dear Sydney, I've made all the arrangements. Next week we can finally begin our life together. The words swam as tears filled my eyes, yet the message was unmistakable. After 12 years of marriage, my husband was organizing his departure with his 26-year-old girlfriend. My name is Lana, and until 5 minutes prior, I believed I was living the quintessential American dream. Now I'm in our home office, understanding that dream was founded on shifting sands. Honey, I'm home. Cody's voice resonated through our house, the house I contributed to financially while he pursued his entrepreneurial aspirations. I swiftly shut the laptop and dried my eyes, my thoughts frantically trying to comprehend what I'd uncovered. In here, I responded, surprised at my voice's calmness. Just sorting some documents. Cody emerged in the doorway, his usual confident smile identical to when I first fell for him. You're perpetually working, he remarked, coming over to kiss my cheek. I have fantastic news. The investors are enthusiastic about my pitch. They're committing $10 million to the new venture. I feigned a smile, recalling how I'd assisted him in rehearsing that pitch for weeks. That's great, baby. We should have a celebration. Actually, I have a business dinner tonight. Rain check? Of course, he did. I nodded, keeping my composure as I watched him retrieve his best suit from our bedroom, the same suit I purchased for him last Christmas, mentioning how it accentuated his eyes. Don't wait up, he called, already halfway down the stairs. Once I heard his car depart, I reopened his laptop. Thankfully, he hadn't changed his password from our anniversary date. I started photographing everything with my phone: emails, bank statements, concealed accounts. My phone vibrated. It was my sister. Hey sis, you won't believe who I just spotted at Cafe Milano. Cody with some colleagues, appearing quite close with their new marketing director. My throat constricted. Sydney Price? Yeah, how did you guess? I inhaled deeply. Kennedy, I need your assistance. Can you come over? 30 minutes later, we were at my kitchen island, screenshots displayed between us like a roadmap of infidelity. Oh my God, Lana, Kennedy murmured, reviewing the evidence. I can't believe this. I was the one always encouraging you to back his dreams, to invest in his future. I feel terrible. Don't, I said, surprising myself with my tranquility. You couldn't have anticipated this. What will you do? I produced another folder, one I'd kept concealed in my own office for years. Remember when we married and I insisted on that detailed prenup? Kennedy's eyes widened. The one Cody hardly read because he was so confident you'd never require it? Precisely. I opened the document, highlighting specific clauses. See this? Any business venture initiated during our marriage, utilizing joint funds or supported by a spouse's labor, is deemed joint property. And this section about intellectual property, all those patents he registered while I supported us, they're half mine. Holy Lana, you foresaw this? Not exactly. I traced the edge of my wineglass. I've just never trusted anyone completely after witnessing Dad leave Mom with nothing. I learned from her oversights. Kennedy leaned in. Does Cody know about these clauses? He's about to discover them. I retrieved my phone and dialed a number I'd saved years ago. Sebastian, it's Lana Lynch. Remember our discussion when you drafted my prenup? I need your assistance. As I conversed with my lawyer, I noticed Kennedy's expression evolve from shock to awe. When I hung up, she grasped my hand. What happened to my sweet, self-sacrificing sister? I squeezed her hand back. She woke up. You know the worst part? In all those emails to Sydney, he continually discusses his achievements, his sacrifices, his vision. 12 years I devoted to supporting him, working extra hours at my job so he could resign his, editing his proposals, networking for him. And now he intends to leave me with nothing but my salary and some equity in our house. He's going to regret this, Kennedy stated firmly. I glanced at the prenup again, contemplating all the interviews Cody had given, boasting about building his empire solo. Every recorded statement would now be used against him. "Yes," I said softly. "He is. But first, I need to let him believe he's prevailing. Tomorrow, I'll resume playing the role of the oblivious wife one last time. Let him think he's got everything planned." The game was just commencing, and for once I possessed all the advantages. The memory of my initial meeting with Sebastian felt particularly vivid as I sat in his office again, precisely 10 years after we drafted the prenup. The same leather chairs, the same view of downtown, even the same perceptive smile on his face. "I must admit, Lana," he said, adjusting his reading glasses, "when we drafted these clauses, I hoped you'd never utilize them." "That makes two of us." I handed him the folder containing my evidence, but here we are. Sebastian reviewed the documents, his expression growing more content with each page. These interviews he gave to Business Weekly. Did he truly assert he built everything from scratch? Oh, it gets better. I displayed a video on my phone. Here's his TED Talk from last month. Skip to 14:30. We watched as Cody paraded across the stage, his charisma fully evident. Success favors those who take risks. I mortgaged everything I owned, worked 18-hour days, and never opted for the easy path. Sebastian paused the video, chuckling. He realizes we have documented evidence that you were the primary earner for the first 6 years of his ventures, right? Apparently, he's overlooked that detail. I leaned forward. Along with the fact that I edited every business plan, attended every investor meeting, and networked at every conference. This will be simpler than I anticipated. Sebastian produced a legal pad. Now, regarding the timing. A knock at the door interrupted us. Sebastian's assistant peeked in. "Apologies for the interruption, but Mrs. Lynch is here to see you." My stomach plummeted. Noel, Cody's mother. Before Sebastian could respond, Noel swept into the office, designer handbag swaying. "Lana, darling, I thought I recognized your car outside." I maintained a neutral expression, even as my mind raced. Had Cody sent her? "What a surprise, Noel. I'm in a meeting." "Oh, don't mind me." She settled into the chair beside me as if she owned it. "I'm just here to discuss this trivial misunderstanding between you and Cody." Sebastian raised an eyebrow. "Mrs. Lynch, this is a private consultation, please." Noel waved her hand dismissively. "We're family. Lana's sweetheart, Cody informed me of everything. These incidents occur in marriages, but ruining his business, that's not you." I felt a surge of anger. What exactly did Cody tell you? That you're upset about his long hours at work, about some young woman you suspect he's interested in, but we both know Cody would never. "Show her the emails," I instructed Sebastian. He slid the printouts across his desk. I observed Noel's meticulously maintained facade crumble as she read them. These could be fabricated," she stammered. "They're not." I retrieved my phone. "But here's a video from last week. Sydney posted it on her Instagram story. She likely thought it was private." The clip displayed Cody and Sydney at a rooftop bar, his hand on her waist as they watched the sunset. The timestamp corresponded to the night of his business dinner. Noel's face hardened. "What do you desire, Lana? Money? A larger settlement?" "I desire what I've earned." I stood up, gathering my belongings. "Sebastian, please show Noel the clauses regarding family interference and divorce proceedings, the ones specifying how attempts to mediate without legal representation could influence the distribution of assets." Sebastian smiled. "Certainly, Mrs. Lynch, if you examine page 12. I exited, my heels clicking against the marble floor, but paused just around the corner when I heard voices from the stairwell. "No, Cody, it's more severe than we anticipated." Noel's voice was urgent. "She possesses documented evidence of everything. The prenup, it's not merely about money. She can claim partial ownership of your patents." A pause. "That's impossible. I never consented to that." "Well, you signed it, darling. What do we do?" "Keep her calm. I'll speak to Kennedy, see if she can reason with her sister. Meanwhile, I'm transferring the new company assets offshore. Lana won't be able to access those. I pressed record on my phone, my hand unwavering, another piece of evidence for Sebastian. Back in my car, I called Kennedy. Hey, heads up. Cody will contact you about persuading me to back down. Let me guess. Play the sympathetic sister. Convince you to be reasonable. Precisely. Perfect. Kennedy's voice was steely. I'll record everything. By the way, you should check your email. I discovered something intriguing in Mom's old correspondence with Dad's lawyer. I accessed my email at a red light. There it was. Proof that Cody had consulted the same divorce attorney 6 months prior, precisely when his first company went public. He'd been planning this for months, waiting until he believed he was untouchable. But he'd forgotten the crucial lesson. The higher you ascend, the harder you plummet. And I was about to demonstrate just how far down rock bottom truly was. I was brewing coffee when Kennedy burst through my front door, her face flushed with indignation. You won't believe what just transpired. Cody contacted me. I poured her a cup, already anticipating the answer. Oh, he did more than that. She retrieved her phone and pressed play. Cody's voice permeated my kitchen. Kennedy, you know your sister. She's being irrational, letting emotions cloud her judgment. If she pursues this, it will destroy everything I've constructed. Everything *U of E* built? Kennedy's recorded voice dripped with skepticism. Look, I'll make it worthwhile. Assist me in convincing her to accept a reasonable settlement, and I'll ensure you're compensated. That boutique you've always desired to open. Consider it financed. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. He attempted to bribe you? Wait for it. Kennedy fast-forwarded the recording. Your sister's always been delicate, Cody continued. Remember her depression after your father departed? We could insinuate she's not thinking clearly. A judge might consider that. The mug slipped from my grasp, shattering on the floor. Coffee splattered across my bare feet, but I barely registered it. He's going to use Dad against me? My voice sounded distant even to myself. Attempt to portray me as unstable? Kennedy grabbed paper towels, kneeling to clean the mess. That's not even the worst part. Guess who he's been meeting with? Who? Dad. The room seemed to tilt. Our father, who'd abandoned us 15 years prior for his secretary, was now advising my husband on how to leave his wife with nothing. The irony would have been comical if it wasn't so agonizing. When? I managed to inquire. Last week at that new steakhouse downtown. Kennedy stood up, discarding the soaked paper towels. Dad's apparently some sort of divorce mentor now, providing Cody with tips on concealing assets, manipulating the narrative. A knock at the door interrupted us. Through the glass panels, I could see Heron, our family friend and voice of reason for the past decade. I heard about Cody, he said as soon as I opened the door. Why didn't you inform me? Because I knew you'd attempt to dissuade me from what I'm about to do. Heron followed us into the kitchen, his expression troubled. And what exactly are you about to do? Justice, Kennedy interjected for me. Or karma, whatever you prefer to call it. Lana. Heron's voice was gentle. Revenge won't mend what's broken. This isn't about revenge. I produced the latest stack of documents Kennedy had brought. This is about consequences. Examine these transfer records. While I was supporting us, Cody was channeling funds into secret accounts. My money, Heron. Money that should have gone to our future family. Heron scrutinized the papers, his frown deepening. These dates, they coincide with when you were attempting to conceive. Precisely. The anguish of those years resurfaced. Every time I believed we were saving for IVF, he was actually constructing his escape fund. Play him the recording, Kennedy urged. After listening, Heron sat heavily in a kitchen chair. Jesus, I've known Cody for 10 years. I never imagined. That's the thing about masks, I said. They only function until someone observes behind them. My phone vibrated, a text from Sebastian. The judge assigned to our case, it's Judge Martinez. Kennedy gasped. The same judge who approved your prenup? Which signifies she recalls precisely what Cody consented to and why. I felt a glimmer of hope. She witnessed him dismiss those clauses, asserting he'd never need to be concerned about them because we'd be together eternally. Lana, Harren leaned forward. Before you proceed, consider offering him one opportunity to confess for your own peace of mind. I already did. I retrieved my email. Last night, I requested he meet for dinner to discuss our future. I displayed his response. Sorry, overwhelmed with work. Let's discuss everything with our lawyers present. While he sent that, Kennedy added, displaying Instagram, he was here. The location tag displayed Cody and Sydney at a romantic restaurant across town, her diamond bracelet, likely purchased with our funds, gleaming in the candlelight. Harren stood up, his decision made. What do you require from me? Your tech company manages Cody's cloud storage, correct? He nodded slowly. You desire access to his business files? Just the ones demonstrating he utilized joint assets as startup capital, nothing privileged. Harren retrieved his phone. I'll have my team retrieve everything legally and transparently, no back channels. Thank you. I hugged him, feeling tears threaten. I know this places you in an awkward position. No, he said firmly. Cody placed everyone in an awkward position when he elected to betray not only his wife, but his entire support system. As Harren departed, Kennedy squeezed my hand. Ready for war? I glanced at the shattered mug on my floor, a wedding gift from Cody's mother. I've been ready since the day I drafted that prenup. I just didn't realize it yet. Mrs. Lynch. The barista announced my order, and I turned to find myself confronting Sydney. Of all the coffee establishments in the city, she had to enter this one. Oh. She stepped back, nearly dropping her own beverage. I'm so sorry. Sydney. I retrieved my latte, maintaining a neutral tone. No need to apologize. We were bound to encounter each other eventually. She glanced around nervously, likely verifying for witnesses. I know this is uncomfortable, but could we perhaps converse? There are some matters you should comprehend about Cody and me. Every instinct urged me to depart, but Sebastian's voice echoed in my mind. Information is ammunition. I gestured to a corner table. Certainly, why not? Sydney sat down, fidgeting with her cup. Cody informed me of your marital difficulties, how you grew apart, focused excessively on work. I had to suppress a laugh. Is that what he stated? He mentioned you altered after the fertility treatments were unsuccessful, became withdrawn. She leaned forward, eyes brimming with rehearsed sympathy. I want you to know nothing transpired between us until after he realized your marriage was over. When was that precisely? Approximately 6 months ago. She smiled, likely believing she was assisting his case, precisely after his first company went public. I retrieved my phone, opened my notes app, and commenced typing. 6 months ago, intriguing. And when did he initially mention the prospect of marriage to you? Sydney brightened. Just last week. He stated once everything's settled, we could commence planning. He even displayed this stunning ring. Let me guess, platinum band, 3-carat oval diamond with trapezoid side stones? Her mouth fell open. How did you? Because I assisted him in designing that ring 15 years ago. It was my engagement ring before I sold it to help finance his first startup. I sipped my latte. He's nothing if not consistent. You're lying. But uncertainty crept into her voice. Am I? Inquire about the inscription. For my North Star. Because that's what he called me when we met in college. I wonder what he calls you. His sunshine, she whispered, face paling. Because I brighten his darkest days. Ah, new metaphor. Same script. I stood up, gathering my belongings. One more thing. Those fertility treatments he blamed for our difficulties? Examine his private email from March 2019. The subject line is, test results. You might want to inquire about that before you commence selecting china patterns. I was halfway to the door when she called out, "Wait, what's in the email?" That's not my story to divulge, but unlike my husband, I believe in informed consent. Back in my car, I called Sebastian. You were correct, she had no inkling about the vasectomy. Excellent. Her testimony regarding his deception will bolster our case. Sebastian paused. Have you examined the files Harren transmitted? Not yet. I'm en route to the office now. Good. There's something you need to observe. 20 minutes later, I sat in my office, gazing at my computer screen in disbelief. Harren's team had uncovered a trail of loans and leveraged assets that chilled me. He borrowed how much? I inquired of Harren through my speakerphone. $50 million, utilizing your joint properties as collateral, including your mother's house that you inherited. My hand commenced trembling. Does he even possess the authorization to do that? That's the issue, Harren said grimly. He forged your signatures on several documents. We discovered the originals in his cloud backup. I heard Sebastian whistle on the other line. Forgery and fraud. Now we're discussing criminal charges, not merely civil. My office door opened and Kennedy slipped in, holding up her phone. Sydney just posted this. It was a screenshot of a bank statement displaying a recent transfer of $250,000 into her account, captioned, "When he states you're worth investing in." That's from our joint account, I said, recognizing the account number, the one he pledged not to touch during proceedings. Forward that to me, Sebastian said. I'm summoning an emergency hearing. He's violating the temporary orders. There's more, Harren added. That $50 million, it's due in 30 days. He was relying on the divorce being settled by then, with you assuming half the debt. I leaned back in my chair, pieces aligning. So that's why he's expediting everything. He's not merely departing me. He's attempting to burden me with his imprudent wagers. Not anymore. Sebastian's voice hardened. I'm filing for an immediate freeze on all accounts. Harren, can you transmit those forgery documents to my office? Already accomplished. As I hung up, Kennedy hugged me. You okay? No. I glanced at the photograph of Cody and me on my desk, taken on our 10th anniversary. But I will be, after I ensure he never perpetrates this on anyone else. I turned the photograph face down, just as my phone illuminated with a text from Sydney. We need to discuss everything. Game on, Cody, game on. The emergency hearing was scheduled for the following morning, but tonight I had a different meeting to attend. I discovered Sydney already waiting at the back booth of the quiet bar I'd suggested, an untouched martini before her. I read the email, she said as I sat down, about the vasectomy, and he informed me he desired children. We'd been planning. She took a shaky breath. 3 months ago, he commenced discussing baby names. The waitress appeared, and I ordered a whiskey neat. Let me guess, he favored Emma for a girl, Nathan for a boy. Sydney's face crumpled. How did you know? Those were his selections 12 years ago, too. I retrieved my phone, displaying a photograph of a nursery design board. This was our spare room before he convinced me to convert it into his home office. I feel so foolish. She wiped her eyes with a cocktail napkin. The funds he transferred to my account were from our joint savings, funds I earned. I transferred it back as soon as I observed the news regarding the emergency hearing. She retrieved her phone, displaying the confirmation. I saved the original transfer receipt, too. Will that assist your case? I forwarded the screenshots to Sebastian. Yes, it will. Thank you. There's something else. She delved through her purse, producing a USB drive. Last week, Cody requested I store some files on my personal cloud account, stated it was for safekeeping during a system upgrade. I examined them yesterday, following our coffee shop discussion. Well, you should observe for yourself. Back at my house, Kennedy and Harren congregated around my laptop as I plugged in the drive. Holy! Kennedy breathed, scrolling through the documents. These are transfer records to offshore accounts. Harren pointed at the screen. Examine these dates. He commenced transferring funds the day following his first company going public, precisely when he encountered Sydney. It worsens, Sydney said softly. There are emails concerning something termed Project Phoenix. It's a scheme to bankrupt his current companies, then repurchase the assets at minimal cost through shell corporations. I felt the blood drain from my face. All those employees, their positions, their pensions. I'll contact Sebastian, Harren said, already dialing. This is security fraud. We need to involve the SEC. My phone vibrated, Cody's name flashing on the screen. I placed it on the speaker. Lana, baby, we need to converse. His voice was honeyed, the way it invariably became when he desired something. I just heard from my lawyer regarding tomorrow's hearing. This is escalating excessively. Is it? My voice remained steady. How's Project Phoenix progressing? A pause. What are you referencing? You know precisely what I'm referencing. Did you genuinely believe you could conceal everything indefinitely? Whatever you believe you know. He halted abruptly. I could hear him moving, likely verifying who might be listening. Where are you? Safe, which is more than I can assert for your freedom once the SEC observes these files. What files? Lana, you're not thinking lucidly, remember? Remember what transpired following your father's departure, how emotional you became? Perhaps you should consult someone. You mean like how you've been consulting my father regarding concealing assets? I nodded to Kennedy, who played her recording of his bribery attempt. That was taken out of context. Save it for court. I hung up, hands trembling despite my courageous words. Sydney touched my arm. I'm so sorry. I never knew. It's not your fault. I meant it. He's been playing this game for years. I was merely too loyal to perceive it. My phone illuminated with texts. Noel, please don't ruin my son's life. We can resolve this. Dad, your mother and I educated you better than this vindictive conduct. Cody, contemplate carefully about your subsequent move. You're not the only one with evidence. He's desperate, Harren observed. That renders him perilous. Let him attempt something, Kennedy said fiercely. We possess documented evidence of everything. Speaking of documentation, Sydney produced one more item, a small notebook. I maintained a diary of everything since we met, including the occasions he discussed concealing funds from his unstable wife. Will that assist? Sebastian's voice came through the speakerphone. That's precisely what we require. Sydney, are you willing to testify? She straightened her shoulders. Yes, I desire to rectify this. I glanced around the room, at Kennedy's protective stance, Harren's unwavering presence, even Sydney's unforeseen alliance. For the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely robust. Tomorrow morning, Sebastian said, we conclude this. No. I corrected him, contemplating all the other women Cody might have targeted subsequently. Tomorrow morning, we commence rectifying matters. The pieces were in position, the truth was emerging, and Cody's meticulously constructed house of cards was about to collapse. The night preceding the hearing, I couldn't sleep. I was organizing files in my home office when the doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I observed Cody standing on my porch, swaying slightly. Depart, I said through the intercom. Just hear me out. His words slurred. 5 minutes. Everything proceeds through our lawyers now, remember? Our initial apartment. He pressed his forehead against the door. That minuscule studio where we could barely afford ramen. You believed in me then? What altered? You did. But I found myself opening the door anyway, keeping the security chain fastened. You're inebriated. Had to be, to come here. He appeared dreadful, designer shirt rumpled, eyes bloodshot. I observed the SEC filing. You're genuinely going to proceed with this? You did this. I'm merely ensuring everyone is aware of the truth. He laughed bitterly. The truth? The truth is, you were suffocating me. Invariably so impeccable, so supportive. Do you comprehend how that feels, residing in your shadow? My shadow? I slammed the door shut, then reopened it without the chain. Let's discuss shadows, Cody. Let's discuss how I worked 60-hour weeks so you could resign your position, how I edited every proposal, coached you through every pitch. I never requested you to do that. No, you just anticipated it, like you anticipated me to remain silent regarding the vasectomy, to continue playing the supportive wife while you constructed your escape fund. He stepped back, surprise flickering across his face. How did you discover? Sydney informed me of everything. I retrieved my phone, playing the video she'd recorded of him describing Project Phoenix, including your schemes to ruin your own companies. That... He snarled, mask finally slipping. She had no authorization. She possessed every authorization, just as I possessed every authorization, to safeguard myself with that prenup you never troubled to peruse meticulously. His face darkened. You believe you're so astute. I still possess the recordings. What recordings? From your therapy sessions following the unsuccessful IVF, your depression, your anxiety. He smiled maliciously. How do you believe a judge will perceive your mental state? I felt ice in my veins but maintained a steady voice. Those sessions were private, protected by law. Astonishing what individuals will share when you compensate them sufficiently. He stepped closer. Withdraw the SEC filing, accept my settlement offer, or everyone will know precisely how unstable you genuinely are. Step away from her. Harren's voice severed the night. He emerged from the shadows of my garden, phone held up. Captured all that on video, pal. Cody spun around. You're recording me? We're recording everything. Kennedy appeared from behind her car across the street. Have been for weeks, including that minor confession regarding bribing medical professionals. You set me up. Cody turned back to me, realization dawning. No. I stood straighter. You set yourself up. I merely ensured there were witnesses. This isn't concluded. He stumbled back toward his car. You're not driving, Harren said firmly, already dialing. I'm summoning you a car, and if you attempt to depart, I'm summoning the authorities. We observed in silence as Cody was loaded into a rideshare, his threats fading into the night. You okay? Kennedy hugged me once he was gone. No. I emitted a shaky breath. But I will be. Thank you both for being here. Sebastian's going to adore this footage, Harren said, sending the video to our lawyer. Threatening to disclose confidential medical records, that's another criminal charge. My phone vibrated with a news alert. I opened it to discover Cody's face plastered across the business section. Tech CEO faces fraud allegations, stock plummets. It's commencing, Kennedy said softly. More alerts followed. Major investors withdraw amid scandal. Board summons emergency meeting. SEC initiates full investigation. Examine this. Harren displayed his phone. Sydney had posted a public statement on LinkedIn, detailing everything she knew regarding Project Phoenix. The comments were exploding. She genuinely came through, I said. We all did. Kennedy squeezed my hand. Obtain some rest. Tomorrow's going to be intense. But as they departed, I didn't retire to bed. Instead, I sat in my office, encompassed by 12 years of memories. Photographs of business launches, award ceremonies, charity galas, all instances where I'd stood in the background supporting his spotlight. My phone illuminated with a text from Sebastian. Everything's prepared. You've got this. Another from Sydney. I'll be there tomorrow. He can't silence us all. And finally, one from Harren. Remember, this isn't about revenge, it's about justice. I glanced at my wedding photograph, at the young woman who believed love entailed sacrificing everything. Tomorrow, I'd demonstrate to the world, and myself, Precisely how erroneous that was. The sun was ascending when I finally retired to bed, but I wasn't apprehensive anymore. The truth was on my side, and for once, that was sufficient.